Okay, Mrs. Issing.
I'm here.
Mr. Kachasik.
Here.
Dr. Koshko.
Here.
Mr. Bill Leonard.
Here.
Mr. Dallas Leonard.
Here.
Mr. Matarazzo.
Here.
Mr. Nemec.
Here.
Mr. Petrucci.
Here.
Mr. Stovar.
Here.
You have a quorum, Madam President.
Thank you, Mr. Lego.
You're welcome.
This time, I'd like to turn it over to Dr. Harris for information.
Yeah, I wanted to start off just giving you the recap of last Friday night's game. I know we had a lot of people here. Mr. Hetrick was here last week talking about it. We had over 6,000 people watching it stream live, which I thought was pretty interesting. We just found that out. I think we did an excellent job with the numbers and everything for the game. The game was very exciting. I believe it was 48-14.
Depending on what you read.
Is it shout out to that?
They did. They said 48-0.
No, that's okay. But no, I think we did a great job, and I think Mr. Hetrick did an excellent job with everything he did to put together the event. So I appreciate it. I know he's not here, but I appreciate all that he did. Any comments you wanted to make, Mr. Inglace, about the game, or?
Yeah, I was up, I didn't go in the event, but I was up on the outside perimeter, and it was very peaceful. People were very cooperative. I thought it went very well, considering. I mean, we'd love to have more people in there, but unfortunately, the restrictions are what they are.
And then tonight, volleyball was going on, but right now in the gym, they still have the 25-person rule. So we actually have kids who are even on the team. They're out in the hallway waiting to go in to play and to take over. So that's currently going on as we're speaking, so I'll be anxious to see how many people are watching that tonight as well. So I am glad there's a counter, because I asked last week if there was a way of getting information back to see if we got the counter or not.
I want to add something, just a little point of information. That last week I read in the paper that girls volleyball has now passed up girls basketball as the most popular girls sport.
And then today, was our first day, as you know, from K to 8. The state is now issuing free lunches to all students, not just ones who qualify. So today, for breakfast, we had 133 students go to breakfast, K to 8. Normally, on a normal day, prior to this, we had about 71. So we had about 62 more kids take advantage of the breakfast. And our lunch went up to 704 today, when normally we have about 486. So another 218 took advantage of it. So it is a good program that started today, and it's through December 31st, or as they say, until the funds run out. Because remember, this is coming from the Pennsylvania. They're reimbursing us from the state. So as long as the funds are there, we will have the free lunch for all students K to 8. And the reason we don't do it at the high school level is because we're already off the food program at the high school. And Mrs. Dissing, I want to turn it back to you.
All right, at this time, we'll have recognition of visitors. We have one person who has signed up, Mr. George Lackley. Lakely, sorry.
That's all right.
Okay, you must state your name, address, and group affiliation, if any. You can come to the podium, sir. Your statement will be limited to 5 minutes in duration. All statements shall be directed to the president, and no participant may address or question a board member individually. You may be interrupted if your statement is too lengthy, personally direct, abusive, obscene, or irrelevant.
My name is George Lakely. My daughter, Fallon Lakely, is a senior here at the high school. She's a cheerleader, and I went to the game Friday night because we got a pass for the parents, and I was just curious on what improvements will be made for the next home game.
That's a good question. We're watching what the state is doing with various things that are up in the air. We have a athletic committee meeting next Monday to kind of assess where we're at and what our next step's going to be. So I can't really answer you right now.
Okay.
Bill,
Do you have some negative takeaways for things that happened that we could try to improve?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, thanks for asking. When we were given the pass, my daughter was giving us a pass for me and my ex-wife, and we showed up. And when we got to the area where we were supposed to be at, there were kids there. There were people showing up, 3-4 people per car, and it says 2 car for the parents. And there were kids running around, no masks, stuff like that, that I thought should be a little more.
Was that in the stadium? Were you in the stadium or?
I was outside the stadium. I wasn't permitted. She got the pass because she's a cheerleader, so we had to stay outside. Also, during halftime, there were kids running around playing football in the end zone, not wearing masks. I didn't know, you know what I mean? Like the whole thing, just being new with the COVID-19, I understand everything. But as a parent, I want to see my daughter. I don't want to be 100 yards away. But when you say 2 people per car, and like I said, 3 people are showing up, 4 people are showing, there's kids throwing football, behind us in the parking lot. I just didn't know the improvements or the security measures in that, what would take place.
Well, that's all very good input, thank you.
All right,
As I
that's,
said, we'll be meeting, those of us on the athletic committee will be meeting next Monday. We'll take that kind of information into account, and also what the state does over the next week.
okay, is that meeting for the public too, or no? Just,
No, it's it's just a
Private.
private
Committee,
meeting.
we'll
Just-
report on it at our next meeting.
Yeah, you'll get a report on it.
oh, okay. All right, well, thank you very much.
Just to
Thank you.
clarify,
Thank
please, the vehicle capacity was 4 coming into the facility. Like, if you were a senior parent, you were able to have 4 in your vehicle. 2 of the people in your vehicle were able to come into the stadium, but the other 2 would have had to been outside, so that you were allowed to have 4. Okay.
I still have time. The one I got from my daughter, it said, senior band parents, 2 people per vehicle.
Okay, it's the band, I'm talking, it was the football team, then, I'm sorry.
Oh, okay.
His cheerleading, he's referencing the cheerleading team.
Right, yeah, the cheerleader.
Okay. So I'm correct with the football team is what I'm saying, right, Scott? Because you're a senior parent.
I thought it was 2.
I thought it was
I
2.
thought it was 2.
I thought it was at 2.
So there you go, we have confusion among
Okay,
us.
I'm
so-
sorry, I
Wasn't
stand
there a
corrected.
difference for
We can clarify it.
seniors in the stadium and then?
Either way, we're working on
We're
plan for
working
the
on
next
it.
home game.
Okay, because also with this parking pass, if my ex-wife couldn't make it and I could make it, could I bring my child or I can't?
I think it's
Yeah,
2
it's just,
people.
it was
There's
2.
2 in the car.
Because it says parents, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I didn't want to take it wrong or
You're-
anything like that.
That's a good question.
Just as the weeks come up, obviously you are getting from the state what's going on and.
Right.
Right, so
weekly.
there, I think for the way Kerry sounded, just he talked to us before this meeting, it sounds like this committee, it may look a little bit different the next home game,
Next home game.
depending on what's come from the state and what we're able to adjust
Right.
and improve.
We're looking at how the state responded to some things that happened this past Friday. In terms
Okay.
of the PIAA's response and some other school districts basically looked at it in terms of pods. So they had 250 in one pod, 250 in another, and 250 in another.
Okay.
We didn't do it that way. We
No.
Basically, did 250 on the field, which we considered the field,
250 inside the stadium.
inside the stadium, and then we did, in theory, 250 outside. But there's other school districts did 250 on the field, 250 in the stadium, seating,
See, okay.
and then 250 were, actually, they did it one on one side, one on the other. But, so we're trying to figure out what, for the next home game.
For the next, what to do.
If
All
I
right,
could
thank
share
you.
too, the band
would-
and
I
the
would-
cheerleaders are important to us. It's not that we're doing things just for football.
Oh, no, I
Definitely you're part of
understand.
it.
I
You're part of
understand.
it.
I'm just, it's with COVID, it's our senior year along with all the seniors, not just her.
Right.
That they're got, it's kind of like a kibosh on them, you know what I'm saying? It's-
Well, we
They're,
feel bad,
you know,
honestly,
they're not
we-
getting the 100%,
Right.
right.
you know?
So we're with you and we're doing
And
everything
we
we
can
can.
guarantee you, Kerry's thoughts are to how to get as many possible kids involved.
Okay.
And parents.
Yeah,
And
Still
parents.
keep
and
everybody
parents.
safe, so
Right.
that's kind of the balancing act. so.
Okay.
We look at this stuff, I hate to say, almost every day, seeing how we can maximize the number.
Okay.
And there's some interesting things happening at the state, we'll have to see how it all plays out, and if it has an impact on us.
Okay.
I don't know if you get a chance, you go down to the gym. Our volleyball players, the kids that aren't playing are actually sitting in the hallway because they're only allowed 25 people on the gym, in the gym
Yeah.
floor, which is
Yeah.
crazy. So they're sitting in the hall if they're a
So no
substitute.
parents can watch
No
those
parents.
kids.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so believe me, we feel on it. We're going to do the best we can.
Well, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank
All right, Mr. Lego, well, when do you want to have
Oh,
this?
Zach's up now.
Okay, I'm so sorry.
Zach Parent.
All right, Zach Perrin, he's our student union rep.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen of the school board. I'm Zachary Perrin, a senior at Penn Trafford High School. And we had an emergency meeting today from the student union to talk about what is dealing with the homecoming issue. as dealing with the limitations on the inside events, we cannot have a homecoming at this point. However, we do have plans to try to make it as normal as possible from prior years with the limitations we have due to COVID. So everything is attentive and subject to change, dealing with what the governor says or PIAA or what you guys decide as well. Currently, right now, on the 2nd of October, we are having the crowning of the homecoming king and queen normally at halftime at the game. We will have the normal balloon arch as normal, and it will be almost like nothing had ever happened there. Currently, we are also doing the voting today with the king and queen tomorrow. The court has already been settled. I don't know the information about that yet. However, the king and queen voting is tomorrow, and then at the 2nd of October, we will have the crowning happen live and in person. Dealing with the dances that may happen at the pep rally, we are going to try to have them recorded. However, we don't know how it's going to work for sure. Dealing with the parade on the 2nd of October, we are having solely the court and the cars, the cheer, and the band on the same route as normal. There will not be any floats dealing with the proximity of people being on top of those floats. Same thing as the archway as normal, and really we're just trying to make this a normal homecoming procedure as prior years, even with the limitations we may have. Everything, as I said, is subject to change depending on what the governor or the state says, and we're just hoping to have it as close to normal as possible. All right.
Credit.
Thank you very much.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Zach.
Right. And welcome as our rep for the year.
Sorry.
Welcome as our rep for the year. We
Thank
look
you.
forward to seeing you at more meetings.
Yep.
Hopefully not wearing a mask, but, okay, that's a little sidebar. Okay. Mr. Lego, any old business?
No, Madam President, but I do have one thing I just wanted to report on briefly that Mr. Petruzzi asked me to address. You know, over the course of the last month, we have refunded both our 2014 and 2015 outstanding bonds. As a result, the district has saved approximately $760,000. Those savings are spread out over the current fiscal year and over the course of the life of the remaining bonds. That'll take some of the pressure off of future boards in terms of their ability to do some borrowing for whatever needs the district has at that future point in time. So it was a very positive result. Very happy with our team of PNC and Dinsmore and Scholl, Leolo Brungo, Niello, and you know, Megan Massarelli from my office, who all helped to get these deals done. And again, I think it's a credit to the district and our bond rating, which continues to be strong. There's a lot of interest in our bonds. The market for our bonds was very strong. And in these times where a lot of money is sitting on the sidelines, it was nice that we were able to successfully get those bonds sold and a substantial savings to the district. So that's all I had to report.
What classification are our bonds, Mr. Lego?
We are classified as A, which is the third highest rating you can get. And most school districts in Pennsylvania have that same A rating. So very strong. Our name carries a lot of weight in the bond market, so there was a lot of demand that a lot of other districts don't have. So, you know, the people at PNC who sold the bonds were very, very pleased with the response they got, with who some of the investors were, because there were some big institutions that put their money with us, and all in all, it was a very successful deal.
That's one the public can know where we're classifying our bond ratings.
Well, thank you for reminding me.
So, the $760,000, does that savings include the fees, or is that before the fees?
That's net of fees.
That's net, so that.
Correct, that's
okay.
the net savings.
Right.
That is correct.
That's just one-time money, too. We're not gonna get it every year.
Oh, no.
No, it's spread out, again.
Yeah.
A certain portion is gonna be this year, and then the rest is spread out. And they particularly looked at the years where the bump in the debt service was a little bit high and tried to smooth those out a little bit. So, it'll definitely help boards in the future be able to consider some borrowings, because we all know that, you know, with the aging facilities we have outside the high school, future boards are gonna have to address some of the other buildings, and this will give those boards the ability to do that.
And what was the previous percent, Brett, compared to what you dropped to?
Well, the previous bonds on average were between 1.5% on the short term and 3.5% on the long term. These bonds that we just reissued are between 0.4% on the short term and 2% on the long term.
Thank you.
The bond market it's an all-time low, and even though we hit the market really well the first time, we managed to save almost 8%. And, you know, the target for a good refunding is 3%, so we blew that away. It was really good.
Great, thank you very much.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, the board met earlier this evening at 5:30 for an executive session to discuss labor negotiations, personnel, and school safety. At this time, we're going into the consent agenda. Does the board wish to remove any items from the consent agenda?
Yes, I will have an item.
All right, anybody else?
What Mr. Petrucci is referring to there is an item of personnel that, it'll come off the consent and he'll read the motion when we get to
And
that
that
portion.
is H, is that correct?
No, G.
G for personnel.
Yeah.
All right, so a personnel, so G. All right. Okay, I don't see G, but all right.
G, there's a G.
Yes, okay, well.
Next to last page, Madam President.
Yeah. Okay, all right, well, proceeding.
Here's the bottom.
Oh, okay, thank you. All right,
Actually, it's H.
so may I have a motion to approve the consent agenda items as submitted under one motion?
Motion.
Motion by Mr. Sobar?
Mr.
Oh, Mr. Leonard, I'm so
Bill
sorry. Second?
Second.
Okay, we have a second. Question?
Question?
Okay, question being called for. This will be a roll call vote. All in favor of the motion, say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. Motion carries. All right, at this time, I'm going to jump down to personnel, and I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Petrucci.
Thank you, Madam President. Pending all required clearances, the board wishes to hire Brian Nemick, Administrative Specialist, $20 per hour, starting next Monday, the 21st of September, the year 2020.
Okay, at this time, I'd like to pull the board on this one.
You
Will
need a
please do-
second, you need a second.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
I'll second that.
Okay,
Question?
okay, thanks, sorry.
Okay, Mrs. Issing,
Here, yes.
Mr. Kachasik,
Yes.
Dr. Koshko,
Yes.
Mr. Bill Leonard,
Yes.
Mr. Dallas Leonard,
Yes.
Mr. Matarazzo,
Yes.
Mr. Nemick,
Abstain.
Mr. Nick Petrucci,
Yes.
Mr. Stovar.
Yes.
The motion carries, Madam President.
All right, thank you, Mr. Lego.
You're welcome.
All right. At this point, I'm gonna ask the solicitor.
But we have one more motion,
There is?
H.
under H, yes.
Let's see, I was right about it.
Mr. Petrucci, that's you.
I was right about it.
You were.
Just missed one.
Should be the
H.
last
Early
page.
graduation, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. On the next to last,
H, okay. Okay, move to approve this. Wait a minute. Consent agenda,
yeah,
Sierra Morgan, okay.
yes.
Yeah.
Sierra
I'm sorry,
Morgan.
they're
Yep,
exception,
yep,
you're right.
Yep.
Move to approve Sierra Morgan for early release and graduation of the class of 2021. Sierra has been recommended by the high school principal and superintendent. Verification will be on the June 1st, 2021, that Sierra will be fulfilled all state and district requirements for graduation in accordance with the state law and district policies. Now, Dr. Harris, she will still go through graduation practice, wasn't she, if she wishes?
Oh, yeah, that's up to her.
Yeah, okay. Need a second?
Second.
Okay, so
Question?
question.
I got a question.
Oh,
Can I ask a question? Can you give us the particulars about I don't know anything about this. Why is she not gonna be going to, what's,
She met the criteria for graduation, and they have to apply for early graduation, and you have to meet all your.
At least I had nothing to read
standards.
today.
And she's already met those
great.
by the end of this year, so.
That's why I
We don't have too many students per year ever do that. In fact,
Yeah.
I can't remember having one during the last 2 years.
Something like that's real important.
she a junior now, is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay.
Great, thank you.
Any other questions? All right, question being called for. This will be a roll call vote. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. Motion carries. All right. At this time, ask the solicitor if she has anything to report.
I just have a question.
Okay. Thank you, Mrs. Lane. At this point, do I have a motion for adjournment?
Second.
Second. All right. Motion carries that the meeting be adjourned at 7:24 PM. Thank you, everybody.